In my last video, I made a comment that nobody can help you, and someone got upset and he wrote me a comment that why are you helping others? Why are you making these videos? Are you not trying to help others? I can answer to him in many different ways, but let me try. First is that I have no illusions. It is that it is you who is thinking that I am helping someone, but I know perfectly that I cannot help anyone. And I'm simply acting out of compassion, and there is no other reason for me to make these videos. And this is also part of an illusion that there is you who needs help and there is me who will help someone. There is no you as you think you are. There is only one awareness, and it is in you and it is in me. And your thoughts, the way your mind has been trained, that is acting out. Third, and the most interesting thing I can guarantee that there is no one, literally no one in the world who is actually seeking enlightenment or searching for God or anything like that, or searching for any questions like what is the purpose of this life, what is the meaning of this life, what is this mystery, how does an atom is built, and so on. There is no one literally in this world who is seeking that. You may not believe me, but let me give you an example, and I will ask you to imagine a situation in your mind where say you have attained all the money whichever you can possibly ask for. You have millions and billions and trillions of dollars laying in your bank, and there is, in addition to that, you also have castles, you have whatever you can ask for. You can have number of girls available to you for whatever reasons, like you have all the doctors, you have all the painkillers, everything is like, if you ask for, it's just there. Just imagine that situation. And you can also go one step ahead and say, and there is no death for you anymore, like your body is immortal, you are never going to die. And you can even go one step further, say even if some accident happens with you and injury happens with you, your body will regrow its parts. Say it can regrow arms, legs, heart, kidneys, whatever is, even the liver is damaged, it can regrow all that. So everything is given to you, like you just have to ask for it and it's just there. And you can even assume further, like there are no problems for you now and there will be no problem ever in the future. And now the important question to ask yourself, will you ever search for enlightenment in this situation? Will you ever go to temple? Will you ever go to church or wherever you may go for the prayers to God? Will you ever consider even God for a second? If everything is given to you at your command, like your wish is fulfilled the moment you thought about it, will you ever consider that there is God or anything like that? I gave you this situation to answer a very important question, like, are you really interested in enlightenment? Because this question also implies that suffering is trying to drive you towards enlightenment. That's not what I'm trying to say. This may or may not be the case. For some people, suffering drives them, and for some people, they have intrinsic curiosity in them to know what is all that is happening around them and so on. But for most of the humans, I can guarantee that they are trying to solve the survival problem and they have not figured it out. And that is why unconsciously they are searching or seeking enlightenment and hoping that maybe they will find the ultimate happiness or ultimate bliss or whatever they might think. And many people, particularly like in India, I can give you an example. If you provide free medical facilities to all the Indians, they will never go to any Baba or no such people are no more needed, because we do not have a good health infrastructure in India. That is why many of the people, those who are like suffering from many disease, if those problems are solved, the problem of survival is solved for them, they will never search for enlightenment. They will never go to any God. They will never go to any temple. They will never go anywhere. That's the case of most of the human. I can guarantee you that. And when I asked you to imagine this situation, you have to literally close your eyes and imagine that happening around you. You just cannot simply say yes or no. You have to imagine that and see how people would behave in that situation. It's not even important how people would behave, how you would behave. That is the most important question that you should ask yourself. That given everything to me, my health cannot deteriorate, my wealth cannot vanish, my body can regrow its parts, everything is like given to you. Now will I search for enlightenment? My claim is that there is no one who is searching for enlightenment. They are trying to solve their survival problem and they have not figured it out. And in this situation, I would say maybe a person out of millions will be asking this question, like, what is the purpose of all this? What are we doing here? Rarely someone will be asking the question like, is there any God who made this world? How does this matter came into this picture? Why the matter is there in the universe? Rarely someone will ask that question. Most people will be just enjoying the luxury, or they will be busy in experiencing pleasures, chasing sex, and so on. That's most people's goal. They will chase women just to have sex. They will not admit that on, like, honestly, that is happening inside them. They will try to unconsciously try to hide it. I can give you an example of the important figures from the history, like Kabir, Osho, Ramana Maharshi, or Mahavir, or Buddha, and so on. You can categorize these people into two categories. The first one is the category of Buddha or Mahavir, where these guys were like born in a rich family. They have seen wealth, and they have seen the richness, they have seen the luxury, whatever was possible in those eras. The thing is that even after seeing the luxury, their fathers, like Gautam Buddha's father, he never questioned like, what is the purpose of this life? But this question occurred to Gautam Buddha, not to anyone else, right? Whoever is experiencing that richness, that question will never arise to them. It's like more a natural thing. Whatever happens, it happens internally. That question had to occur to Gautam Buddha. That is the first category of people, where you have luxury, you have wealth, and then you ask question. And there is a second category of people where those who have not seen the luxury. The example is like Ramana Maharshi. He was not a rich man. The example is like Osho. He was not a rich man. The thing is that they have not seen the luxury, and then they still ask the question. Like the people, those who fall into the first category, they are probably the intelligent people. But do not confuse the word intelligence in a conventional way. For example, if you are good at solving algebra, or you are good at solving the special theory of relativity and so on, then you can call, oh, I am an intelligent person. If you are a professor in university, if you are like teaching mathematics or physics or something like that, teaching or guiding PhD students, you might think you are the brilliant man or intelligent man. But that's not the intelligent I'm trying to point out. To find out enlightenment, even to ask these fundamental questions, like why this thinking is happening, why am I thinking, you need to be really possess a different kind of intelligence. There is a second category. That category is like of Kabir, where I would not even call them intelligent. They are like genius. They were poor and they still ask that question. That question will never arise in a person who is struggling on a daily basis for a food, right? He will never ask this question, like, what is the purpose of this life? So coming back to the main important question, like, are you really interested in enlightenment? There is a chance, there is almost like 99.99% of a chance that you are trying to solve the survival problem. You may not have enough money, you may not have access to a good medical facilities and so on, and that's why you unconsciously think that maybe the spirituality will solve the problem. You are unhappy because of your health, you are unhappy because of the money, you may not have enough money to send your kids to school and so on. You may think that spirituality, you are unhappy and the unhappiness is linked to spirituality. That's not the case. You may not be interested in all that. The real thing is that, say, 80 to 90% of the people, they are still below the survival zone, and they are searching for the essentially like the food, shelter, and health and so on. So they have not figured it out, and unconsciously they are thinking that maybe spirituality or God or some help will arrive magically from outside, and they will help. They will magically solve the problem of their survival, but that's never going to happen. That's a hope. That's what UG Krishnamurti said, that they will live in hope and they will die in hope. Rarely there is a person who is really interested in enlightenment. That's the whole point I was trying to say. And I cannot help that person, because if a question has arisen inside you, that what is the purpose of this life and why the whole of these molecules, atoms or matter is there, why the universe is there, why the sun is there, how does that matter came from, how does the sun get its mass from, and so on, where is this space came from. If you have such questions, first of all, nobody has the answer to those questions, not even science. Even if they have the answers, they are just thoughts. Thoughts have not helped anyone. Thought is a thinking, and thinking has not helped anyone. If you have answers, you know the mass came from this way or that way, if the Big Bang happened, this, whatever, you can come up with different answers based on science or based on religion, based on philosophies and whatever. But the main thing is that all whatever answers you are throwing, they are just thoughts. They may be based on some experiment, they may be based on some theory or something, but they are essentially our thoughts. And the main problem the humanity have, that is the problem of thinking. They do not know how to stop their mind. They do not know that their mind is producing garbage on daily basis, or even every second it is producing, and they are consuming garbage through social media and watching through movies, and the politicians are manipulating them all the time through the media and so on. So they are consuming garbage, they are producing garbage and so on, and they do not know how to control their mind. Like, they do not know how to stop the garbage. They think they are entertaining themselves, but essentially that these are the things which keeps their thinking going, and which essentially produce suffering. They think that they are chasing pleasure, but eventually the pleasure leads to pain. They do not understand how their mind works. They do not know why thoughts are arising in their mind. Essentially, they have not figured out who they are. If they have figured out that they are pure awareness, pure consciousness, they are not the thoughts, they will not entertain their thoughts. That's the underlying problem that all humans have. Even your parents, my parents, and so on. You may think that they are mature, they are like maybe old, they are like more wise and so on, but they are not. Maybe your parents might be, but I cannot guarantee. It's like all mind game. They have not gone. I do not want to use the word beyond, but I don't have any other words to replace that word. So I would say that they have not found how to go beyond the mind. So they are in the matrix, they are in the game. They are constantly living with the unhappy pseudo self. That is the main problem. Eventually, maybe enlightenment will solve that problem, but that's a very far away. Like, once you reach at that craft in your search, there, like you say you have made millions and you have access to everything like health, wealth, whatever you can ask for. If you have all that, and there are very few people, I can even name those. I think Jim Carrey is one of them. Matthew Perry is another one example of that. And even Virat Kohli or Anushka is maybe the third example of that. Even after experiencing the richness, they still think, okay, there are still certain things which they cannot control, or which they cannot have, which they do not have answer to, and so on. It's essentially they do not know how to stop their mind. That's create the misery for them. You might even think like, maybe if I am teaching you, I am speaking here, I might have figured out how to turn the mind off and so on. But even that I does not exist. That I is the main problem. The I which we are taught from childhood. Like when you are born completely empty slate. Like there was nothing written on your consciousness. It was free from contaminations of all kinds. Once you turn 3 or 4 and then your parents starts to teach, where is Gautam? Here is Gautam. Then it's the me. That's where you develop that I thought. That's what Ramana Maharshi tried to point out to this self-inquiry. Because when you ask that question like, who am I? That essentially trying to point out that the main purpose of that question is to bring a split between the real I and the pseudo I. Let me also briefly tell you, like when he suggested people to ask who am I and so on, it is essentially to bring about a separation between two different identities. The one is pseudo identity, the other one is the real identity, the pure awareness. The one who is asking that question, that he needs to separate himself from that I thought. In Punjabi you can call it main, in Hindi you can call it main, maybe in Spanish the name will be different and so on, but essentially the thing is the same, that I is a thought. That thought you have to catch. Once you have caught that thought, that give rise to another question, like if this I thought I can witness, if this main word I can witness inside me, then who is the one who is witnessing that? That is the pure awareness. Once you have figured out, okay, this is the pure, I am the pure awareness, it's like your center has shifted. Once you have figured out, okay, I am pure awareness and I am not the thought. And when I say I am, even these are like thoughts appearing in my mind. I am Gautam and I am shooting myself, or I am filming, or I am a professor in some university or something. These are like objects which are appearing in your consciousness. Once those objects settle down completely, then only pure awareness is left. And once you have figured out that center has shifted now you will continue to use the language, you will continue to meet people. When they ask what's your name, you will say I am Gautam. And if they ask you what do, you say I am a software engineer and this and that and so on. But you know essentially that all these identities, they are like sticking to this body or sticking to whatever I have done in my past, but they are not my real identity. My real identity is the pure witnessing, the pure awareness. You can name it whatever you want, consciousness. I don't even want to call it anything. You can simply call it you, the pure you, the real you. Even those are also words. Like you have to go beyond all that. These thoughts, these words cannot point out to pure awareness. Once the thoughts settle down, what is left is pure awareness. And sometimes like people even misunderstand when I say when thoughts settle down, it's just needed once. Like you just need to see it once that you are pure awareness. You don't have to come back to it again and again. It's like once you have learned calculus, once you have learned algebra, you don't have to revisit your book. If you forget, you go back and revisit, but it's not even a knowledge, it's understanding that you are pure awareness. You have seen that. With this, I will stop here. And if you have more questions, you can post me. You can comment below.